Thanks for tuning in to The Real Deal Show, brought to you by ebodyboarding.com and Tribe Boards. Hey folks, Jay Reale here with The Real Deal Show, and we are on location at a very special place on the planet. This is called BSR Surf Resort. It's in Waco, Texas. And the cool thing about this place is it is
right there.
An artificial wave pool. If you've been following our social medias, you've seen tons of footage of this place, and it's amazing. And one of the people that I love having join us here for the BSR, what we call the Texas Tube Tour, is this man sitting to my, well, I don't know if it's going to be to my, well, it's to my left. I'm wondering if the camera's going to be reversed when you see this.
Was your shirt backwards?
No, it will be right when I post it, I think. I'll flip it. Whatever. His name is Brian Press.
What's up?
How's it going, Brian?
Good to see you, brother.
Good to see you, too. Brian and I have been friends for many, many years. Brian is a former professional bodyboarder. We used to compete together on the Bud Surf Tour, on the GOB World Tour. We have a long history together, and we still are able to meet up at cool things like this and surf BSR. And so, Brian, to get right into it, I really want to kind of dive into your history in the sport. You're from the South Bay, from Torrance. You still live in that area. You're raising 4 kids. You're married. You have a successful business. But we're going to start at the beginning. How did a kid from the South Bay, obviously you live at the beach, but how did you get into bodyboarding originally?
Yeah, good question. What up, people? Let's see. Well, my earliest memory of Torrance Beach.
Yep.
I was like 8 or 9 at the beach with my mom. And I remember I got caught in a riptide way before I was bodyboarding. Okay. And I remember I got caught in like a riptide or something and a lifeguard rescued me. I remember it was the most embarrassing moment of my life. Oh, no. I have this weird memory that Torrance Beach was reversed. Okay. So from like the age of like 8 or 9 to like 13 or 14 when I actually started bodyboarding, I always had this weird fear of Torrance because I got rescued there once. Oh, but it was like real embarrassing, and the girls were like laughing at me and stuff.
An irrational fear.
Yes, it was. Just like there's sharks in BSR. So that was my first like real experience with the ocean. But me and my buddies, this guy John DeTemple, some of you guys know, and this guy Brad, we just kind of started going to the beach. And I think, I met this guy John, I think at the skate rink. I used to ice skate. And
whoa.
Yeah. I wanted to be a Kings player.
Which dovetails into your Kings love of the Kings. We'll get into that later, yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, I started bodyboarding around 13 or 14, had a Maury 136 or 138 Rainbow.
Like many of us did.
The Mega Rash producer.
Yep.
That was before I had hair on my tummy too. A long time
or owned wetsuits.
Or owned a wetsuit. Remind me about that. Well, maybe it was a good time. They used to call me Accessory Boy.
Oh my gosh. I can't wait to hear
this. But
my
brother, Jay.
Yeah.
Not you.
I know Jay, your brother.
Yeah, my other brother. He had a friend his name was Fred, and he was bodyboarding, going to Newport and stuff, and the wedge back in the day, old school. He started taking me too. But I remember my parents bought my brother a full suit before me.
Oh man.
So I had a spring suit, and this was back in the body glove days and dive and surf. And then I remember I bought arms.
Oh yeah.
Attachable arms.
Little Velcro
So then I had a spring suit, but then I got the arms. And I would attach the arms with the Velcro. My spring suit was black, my arms were blue. And then the winter came and I was jealous because my brother had a full. Then my parents bought me a long john. So so that's why I was Accessory Boy, and I had gloves. Gosh. So I would put on my long john, then I'd put on my arms, and then my spring suit over all that. Oh,
that's hilarious,
It took like 20 minutes to get suited up.
You couldn't move.
But yeah, so I just, that was kind of the early days.
Yep.
And then we just got, just into it. Me and a couple friends just started doing it, and then...
How old were you at that point?
14.
Okay.
I say 14 was when I really started. We live by Manhattan Beach, and there is a Manhattan Beach bodyboard crew. Trevor Ellis is one of them. He's here. But I never got into the Manhattan Beach crew. But I was more of an Avenue guy. Guys like Jeff Jones.
I'm talking Redondo Beach, California.
Beach. And then fast forward a couple years, my brother worked at Domino's Pizza
Oh,
and
I
he
remember
came home
this.
one day and he's like, hey, there's this guy, Chris Granoni, that works with me, and he's like a really good bodyboarder. And then I remember Chris came and picked me up one day, and we went to Avenue A, and it was a good winter day. And I remember watching Chris just boost these massive El Rolos in front of me, and I was like, and Jeff Jones, you remember Jeff Jones?
Yeah, I do remember. Curly hair.
Curly
right?
hair, shredded on rights.
Like an afro kind of head of hair. He was really good.
Yeah. His dad, Rick, was a good...
Rick Jones.
Still bodyboards.
Uh-huh. Does he really?
Yeah,
wow.
I see him out there in the winter.
Cool.
So that was kind of my thing. And then, am I going too far forward?
No, you're doing great.
So then Chris Granoni, probably when I was like, I think 16, I did my first contest.
Okay.
Had it been a Maury Boogie thing. Could have been a CSA. There was this thing, Christian Surf Association, in the South Bay. It was like all surfing, longboarding, but they had a bodyboard division.
Yep.
I can't remember if it was a Maury Boogie, probably 13 to 16 division, or the CSA that I did first.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I could probably look at all my trophies and figure it out. And I remember first contest I ever did. I don't remember where it was, but I bombed out. I was pissed, but I got the bug.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's where this like competitive thing came out of me, where I wanted to be Chris Granoni, my idol.
Granoni, the Noid. They used to call him the Noid because he worked at Domino's, and that was their like mascot.
Yeah.
Their little.
And then then Chris started taking me to contests and teaching me some stuff. I think he helped get me my first sponsor. It was like Otter gloves or something. I was accessory boy.
You were accessory boy.
And then I had like the old Churchills with the big red fin tethers.
Oh sure, yes.
So it was like friggin'.
You had every doohickey you could buy.
I was accessory
for the sport of bodyboarding.
That was my start.
Okay, so you got started competing. You obviously loved it, and then at some point you were finishing high school, and you decided to keep competing. You wanted to up it to the next level. What made you? How did you turn pro? How did that happen?
Yeah, and as a side note, maybe in this video you can link to my Facebook, because I just found my first promo video that I edited on 2 VCRs and I posted on my Facebook.
I saw it.
Classic.
I think. Yep.
Classic early Torrance, long hair. So that's a classic video.
Good stuff. Okay.
So my dad, Rip Marvin, epic dude.
Yep.
He, I miss you, Dad. He was a big sports guy. And I was born in New York, and he used to go body surfing at Rockaway Beach, and he was like a beach guy. And so he was always into it. He would take us and video us. I have some hilarious videos of my dad's commentary in the background. But he was actually supporting our little thing.
Yeah.
And he would take me to the contest, and I think because his love for sports, and I think it's just how he enjoyed spending time with me, like how I do that with my boys and my daughter and my oldest son. He was investing in what I was invested in.
Yeah.
And so he was supporting, and he funded all my stuff, and actually backing up a little bit. When I was 8.5, I got hit by a car. And I almost died.
Yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah.
What happened?
I was going to Straw Hat Pizza to play video games. I think I was 8.5 or 8 maybe. And
back when kids could do that stuff by themselves.
Well, now
without
parents
fear
are just
of being kidnapped.
Parents are just paranoid because of social media now. That's true.
Okay.
That's my belief. We can talk about that.
But
I was going to Straw Hat Pizza to play video games. It definitely was my green light to walk across Western Avenue, which is a busy street, and the lady just ran the red light and just slammed me. I flew about 30 feet, broke both my legs, pelvis, fake teeth.
Wow.
Yeah, and I still to this day, my right knee doesn't bend all the way, and that was my drop knee.
Wow. You threw a little pigeon in there.
I did.
It's my drop knee, bro.
I just got back from Kauai. But yeah, so I got messed up. I was in the hospital for 18 days.
Oh my God.
With a bar between my legs, full body cast up to my chest like this.
Whoa.
And then I was in a hospital bed at my house for like 3 months. Yeah, I almost died. It was bad. But my parents ended up suing the lady, and we got, I think when I turned 18, I got like 15 grand or something.
Yeah. Which isn't much. Nowadays, it'd probably be 15 million.
But back to your question, that's how I started to be able to travel.
Okay.
Because I had some cash saved up.
Some seed money.
I did, and I had the support of my parents.
Yep.
And because my dad was into it, that whole thing. Anyway, getting in the pro. So I just was, coming up through the ranks in the CSAs, the
The Maury contest.
The Maury contest. Yeah, I was winning a lot. Became AA, AAA. Was very involved at jamborees, and I just enjoyed it all. And then my first pro year was, what was that? 92, I think. I won Oceanside PSAA.
Yep.
Or Bud Surf Tour with Stewart, Chris Tenberg, and Harry in the final, and I won.
Whoa, high-powered, man.
You could link this video that Jay interviewed me.
Oh, that's the interview.
That was the one.
Okay.
And I thank Metallica.
I will have to drop that link as well in the comments below
classic,
for YouTubers.
And Jay interviewed me there. That was 92.
Yeah. Wow. That's almost...
And your voice sounds exactly
30 years ago. Yeah, sure. Your voice sounds the same, but you don't look the same. So let's dive into that for a minute. You were a very different person back then, man.
That's
you
what
had
I'm told.
Long, stringy hair. You were like Mr. Heavy Metal. What were you like? What was your thing back then?
I was just pumped. I was a big Metallica guy. I liked metal.
And you played guitar even back then?
Yep. But I also was more of like a chill, like a reggae Bob Marley stoner.
Okay, so you
know,
had two sides.
I actually had dreads before I grew my hair out the second time, and then I got busted for selling pot in high school.
Oh boy.
Yeah, that's part of my story though. It's part of what God used to bring me where I am.
Yeah. So now you're a man of God.
Heck yeah.
There was some point in your life that changed everything. You were like heavy metal stoner guy and ripping on the Bud Surf Tour. In fact, before we get into that change in your sort of life, you were kind of a character on the Bud Surf Tour. Like PT loved to call you the Tasmanian Devil, or
bench
other
press.
Bench Press. They had all kinds of nicknames. PT being Peter Townend, who was one of the announcers on the Bud Surf Tour.
Which you'll see in the video if we link it.
Yeah, he was the first ever world surfing champion for the when they had a pro tour. But in any case, Brian was a regular fixture on the Bud Surf Tour and doing really well. You were always in the top 8 for sure, and you had a great career. And then we started the world tour. So you then had some contracts with some companies that helped you get started there.
And I want to publicly apologize to you for what I did to you in Santa Cruz, because it still bugs me. I'm like, I don't remember exactly what happened, but it was like, okay, tell me.
So we were the Santa Cruz at Steamer Lane. It's an interesting wave. It's like a right point / reef wave. And you have to jockey for position to get on the inside of that right-hander, so you have position. And I think, Brian, you had just had a wave, and I was in position, and you were sort of paddling around me to get the next wave, because that's what you do in contests. And I was like, dude, come on, man. And I was like trying to fight for position with you, and you said, no, you can have the next one. And then you paddled around me and took the next one, or something like that. I think that's what I remember.
Interference.
No, I didn't get interference, but you got like one of the last waves, and I didn't advance because I didn't get that wave.
Well,
so
in my heart, I felt like I did something mean, and I think about that.
Well, don't feel bad. I mean, that's
okay. I take it back.
Yeah, interview's over. So that was how the career was back.
Yeah.
Your career was dependent on your results and your photos, and we were friends on land. Everybody was, but sometimes it was like anger. It was every man for themselves in the water. So anyway, we move on to the world tour. So you had who as a sponsor at that point?
Yeah. So, well. World Tour started in 95, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so that was the first year I think we did 3 contests in Japan.
Well, no, we traveled to Viana do Castelo. In fact, you and I were together. We traveled together, that was the first event in Viana. No, Viana do Castelo in Portugal.
Oh, yeah.
It was the first ever
That's
GOB
when we
event.
slept.
We slept till like 3 in the afternoon.
And we opened up the blinds, and it was like, I remember I was so messed up that
afternoon.
Trip. I was so messed up.
We had just woken up, we opened the blinds, and it's like the sun's starting to go down already, but yeah, so that we were jacked.
We were messed up.
But we did that event, and then the tour started the following year at Maroochydore in Australia. Yeah. So you started doing the tour. Who was supporting you on the tour then?
Yeah, so back then I was, I think I was with Arlight still.
Okay.
Arlight, which was a division of BZ, which was Whammo and all that.
Yep.
Eventually. And then I think I had Rip Curl going, or maybe I think Rip Curl still.
Yeah.
Redley, Spy sunglasses.
What was your salary by that point? How much were you making a month?
Well, I don't remember. But I think they were, well, I know they're paying for everything, probably around $3,000 a month.
Okay. So, yeah, more than anyone gets nowadays.
But what's funny, though, why I chuckled, because the year after that, because I did really good in Japan and they all loved me there.
Oh, yeah.
And then I got sponsored by a company called Shade Clothing, and I hated their clothes.
Oh, man.
It was like total trendy, like
just not your style at all.
New agey, like hip hoppy kind of stuff. And they were paying me $660 a month, and I never wore their stuff.
Oh, man.
And I just had a sticker on my board, so thanks, guys. So then I think the most I ever made was like around $4,500 a month.
Solid.
Plus contest winning. So
in the 90s, that was solid.
Yeah, it was
man.
good. And then all your travels paid for, and I was getting some board royalties. And
you were living at home, so you didn't have rent.
Yeah, it was good. And you know, that first year in Japan, we went to Maroochydore to Japan, right?
I think so,
like that.
yeah.
I remember
Sounds
that.
Right.
I don't remember what I did in Maroochydore, but I remember Japan, small wave groveling, that was one of my specialties. I got a first and 2 seconds on that trip.
Man.
And they give us cash.
Yes.
I have a picture
Yen
of me.
or dollars.
No, it's $100 bills.
It's dollars, wow.
I have a picture of me in my hotel room with is it a Komodo robe?
Yeah, like a kimono.
Kimono.
Yeah, kimono.
Komodo, that's a dragon.
Right.
And then I put my hair up, because I have my long hair. I put a teacup on top, and then I spread out it was our light, because I have the picture. I spread out all this money, and I was like, and it was epic picture
fun.
in Japan. But I came home with $9,800 in my sock.
Wow. Because you wanted to hide that.
In my sock.
You don't want to get taxed on that.
In my sock. And I remember I went home, and I paid my dad like $5,000. Thanks for supporting me. Thank you for all the travel. I did like a rough calculation. I paid him back, and it was just epic. I remember doing that, yeah.
So that was like the beginning of the world tour, and you 95. Were already off to a great start.
And I finished third in the world that year. It was Guilherme, Stewart, and then me.
No way.
Yeah.
I don't even remember that.
Third in the
Crazy.
world. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, and you have this compact body, very strong.
Not as much anymore.
Like stout, but you could like manufacture maneuvers on tiny waves.
He works out every day. I don't.
What do you think? I don't lift weights up. But anyway, he lifts cameras. But we'll get into that in a minute. So Brian had a great success on the world tour for a few years, and then how did it all end? Tell me how that ended, the world tour days.
So that was kind of jamming, 95, 96, 97. And then I definitely was riding for BZ. And then, I'll tell you, it was 99, and I was in Hawaii on the North Shore, and I think I bombed out in the pipe contest first round or second round, and I was just grumpy. That's what happens sometimes, it like really affected me when I didn't do good. Like, it was pretty deep. And I remember going for a hike in Waimea Falls by myself, and I remember being up on the trail, and I was really messed up and trying to think about God and just trying to be at peace, because if you're not at peace, like, life sucks.
Yeah.
You're like in turmoil all the time, and I felt like I was in one of those moods. I remember hiking on this trail, and the guy in front of me had a No Fear shirt on, and it said, "If you don't want to win, why are you here?" And I took that as like a word for me, and I was like, and then all of a sudden I felt this unexplainable or describable peace that just flooded me. And like at that moment, it was just taken away. Like, I didn't have to compete anymore. I didn't have to worry about my reputation or this image that I thought I had. Like, it just got taken from me. It was so awesome.
So you decided then?
Well, I didn't decide then, because I didn't know what was. Right. I just felt like I didn't want to win anymore, but I was stuck in the pattern.
Yeah.
Like in the identity of bodyboarding, a pro bodyboarder. That
was your comfort zone.
Yeah, it's what we did.
Yeah.
And that was, I think, the winter of '99, and I think that spring I met Holly, who is now my wife of almost 21 years this month.
Right on.
And then I remember being at a contest in Huntington, and something about a possibility to be a sales rep for BZ, and they kind of explained to me the money. And also at the same time, that's when there started being weird stuff with the industry and stuff getting made overseas, and like they're cutting budgets for riders, and it was just changing. And then you had the sales rep job for BZ. You can explain that a little bit better.
I explained in an earlier show. Basically, my contracts ended, so I hung up the fins, proverbially speaking, and got the job as the sales rep, but I decided e-bodyboarding was a better route, so I had the job for one day and then resigned and said, Brian Press is the perfect guy for this gig. So that's where you came in.
Yeah, and then I became the sales rep for BZ.
Yep.
And I sold, and then I ended up getting into some other companies like Alita Wetsuits. I was selling Reale as well. I think Spy. I was selling Spy for a while. Alita Wetsuits. It was a cool job. It was cool. And I remember my interview with this guy, Dave Rubin at BZ. He was like, it was probably the day after you quit.
Yeah.
Which was only one day after you started.
Right.
He's like, hey, Brian, come down to Oceanside. I want to give you an interview. And I was like nervous. I never had a real job in my life. And he's like, all right, pick up the phone and call the surf shop and see if they need anything. And I was like, hey, guys, Brian, the new sales rep for BZ or whatever. He's like, yeah, we need this. I wrote it down, not even on an order form. Hung it up, and Dave goes, you're hired.
No way.
That's really how it happened. That's how it happened.
That's hilarious.
And I saw Dave Rubin the other day at the 50th.
Yeah, I did too, in July. Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
First time in a long time.
So then that was cool. That was in 2000, and like I was still bodyboarding, but I was phasing out. It was a really beautiful transition for me. And, you know, fast forward now to 21 years, I see how like God lined that up, because now I run my own company, and we could talk about that. But and then I got married in 2000. So it's kind of cool.
A lot of life changes for you.
A lot of life changes.
And that brings us back to the topic we touched on earlier. Oh, you have a meeting?
Yeah.
So you became a man, I'll say a man of God. I don't know how better to describe it, but you changed your whole outlook on life. You were rock and roll guy, stoner, as you pointed out.
Yeah.
What changed? How did your life change?
Yeah. Well, it started a long time before the 2000s.
Yeah.
But really, ultimately, in a nutshell, what happened is I had some really creepy spiritual things happen to me, where I wasn't even stoned. I actually saw things like in my room, and I felt this pressure of darkness on me, and it scared the crap out of me. And then I was with this girl at the time, and she was there. We were friends, just friends.
Yeah.
And she had a similar experience that night. Long story short, her friend was like saying like, oh, it's an anxiety attack and this and that. And then they were just like praying in Jesus' name, I rebuke you, Satan, and all this super weird stuff.
Wow.
And yeah, it was really heavy. I'm like, wow, I like this girl, but she's like really weird and all this Christian stuff. And anyway, I kind of learned, there's other things, but I learned at that time that the spiritual world is real, because I always thought like this is what it, like there's nothing more than Jay, but there's like a whole nother dimension of things. And that night my eyes got open to that, and then through the years, like it's just become more and more clear. I remember this one time, this girl I was dating, I went to Washington State for my very first Christmas, because I grew up Jewish. So we never celebrated Christmas, never had a Christmas tree. And I remember we went to her church for Christmas, and I was totally digging this girl, but she didn't like me, but her parents thought I was cool. And I remember I saw the whole setup of the living nativity. Like, for the first time I understood that, okay, God got Mary pregnant, and then Mary had Jesus, and Jesus is the Son of God, and he came to abolish sin and take sin away and do all that. And so I saw it for the first time, and I got it, but it didn't like penetrate me or change my heart or anything. And then fast forward about a month, I went from Washington State straight to Hawaii for the pipe contest. This was like 96, I think. And I remember they gave me a Bible, and I remember this one morning, I think I smoked out with my friends, and I was sitting on the toilet taking a dump, trying to read my Bible, and
as
literally,
you do.
as I do, and I need to go now, actually. I told you that before.
You did.
I remember opened my Bible, and it looked like Chinese, like I couldn't read it. And then I remember this cloud parted, and the light came down on my arm, and it was really warm. And I looked down again, and it said, "Jesus is the light of the world." And I was like, "Whoa, dude," you know. And so like it was small steps, and I kind of hooked up with like the Quiet Classic guys, who used to be my worst competition ever.
Yeah.
I became really good friends with Kyle and Chris Temberg and Harry Anna Paula. And Harry Anna Paula and I started becoming roommates on some of the tour.
Yep.
Back in 96, 97. And just like, those guys were epic, like learning by their example and learning about God and just, again, changing my heart. And that's why I said about the peace thing. And that's been the biggest thing for me is I have peace in my heart now, where before I just felt like I didn't know kind of anything. I was always doing it for me and trying to fill me, but he just filled me.
Wow.
And then you don't have to like strive anymore.
So it's been a long, like 20 plus years of you devoting your life to that philosophy.
And I remember another thing, when I won that contest in 92, I remember I came off the stage and I was it was before I went up and you already knew you won, right? Because they already just called the scores.
Yeah.
I remember Kyle Milagro, bless your heart, I was going up on the stage and I was stoked. I won the contest. I was 19. I was like on top of the world. And Kyle's like, hey, that's epic, you won. He goes, but this moment is going to be a fleeting moment. It's going to just, eventually it'll just go away. He goes, but Jesus will last forever. I'm like, F you, bro.
Yeah, no, I feel
why are you
like,
trying to steal my flow? You jealous?
Dude, this is a great moment for me.
But now I realize that that's true. That was just a moment.
Okay.
Even though it was awesome back then, but it's gone.
Yeah.
It's a memory, but that moment, that feeling, the adrenaline, the little fame, the girls screaming, me getting $1,000 check.
Yeah.
It's gone.
Temporary, sure.
Yeah, so anyway, that's my little bit of my story. But yeah, now just, and then I grew up playing metal music in Metallica, and then I became a worship leader guy at church. And I remember the first time I was at this Bible study, I didn't even know like pretty chords on my guitar, just metal chords, power chords. And I was like, this one guy that was awesome, I was like, dude, what's that chord? And he's like, bro, it's a G. And so he taught me like basic chords. Anyway,
so you played worship at your church, and then so now we're at the point where you and Holly are married, and you decide to start popping kids out like every year and a half.
Pretty much.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And now you have 4 kids, and they joined you at church. I mean, I know.
Definitely.
Shayla, your daughter, who's, by the way, folks, a world-class singer.
Shayla Press. On Instagram.
Look her up on Instagram. That's SHAYLA PRESS. Insane singer. But she would join you in the worship
and Noah
singing.
was jamming on the cajon and the djembe.
Okay.
He's an incredible
musician. I don't even know what those are. Cajones and djembes.
African drums.
Okay.
Yep. Very big. And then Jeremiah Jip Rips at JIP Rips. Shredder on the drums, and Isaiah's jamming on guitar now. He's killing it. So my family, they're all musical. This is really fun. We still jam all the time.
Okay, so how did so your wife is do you pronounce it doula?
Doula.
So she helps people have babies at home, right?
Yep.
Which is a really cool thing. And you now own Creative Core, which produces marketing videos, and you do wedding videos with impressive creations.
Creative Core, KREATIVEKOR.
Stylized. Okay, so
KK.
How did you start getting into videography and doing that for a living?
Yeah, so back when I was, I actually moved to Kauai in '97 for like a year and a half. We were doing a tour on and off, and I was chilling with Bob Sato at the Kauai Classic House with Harry and those guys.
Yep.
And he would go out and video us every day, and like we'd come back and they had actually like a legit editing bay.
Yeah.
And I learned how to do that because before that I made videos on 2 VCRs. But so I think that's where I got my start. But I did my first wedding in 2002, and I just kind of taught myself. And it's been an amazing business. So I started doing video in 2002, but I actually got into doing computer stuff because I wanted to be a music producer. That's where it really came from.
Got it.
So I got a Mac in 2000. I got Pro Tools, which is like audio software, and I learned how to produce music. That turned into video. I quickly learned that there's a lot more people that need like a slideshow or babies growing up or like a funeral video than people needing their music produced. So I started doing weddings for some friends at church, and 20 years later, it's a booming business. We do some of the most luxury weddings in Southern California.
Yeah.
Incredible stuff. Got to meet a lot of amazing people. I do a lot of South Asian Indian weddings. I've been to India for a wedding at a palace. Crazy, like multi-day weddings are amazing. So beautiful.
Gosh.
Check out ImpressiveCreations.com. Beautiful stuff. So it's good. And then about 5 years ago, I started a corporate company because I got weddings going, and then started doing like small business commercials, social videos, corporate conferences. So kind of doing it, the video. Now I'm here filming this with my boys. And,
yes.
Yeah.
And so the pandemic obviously was rough on your business because weddings came ground to a screeching halt. So
Yeah.
I assume you had enough saved up to get you through the pandemic. No, you had to borrow money probably. No,
Yeah.
You figured it out somehow. Unemployment, which a lot of people relied on.
Unemployment showed me for the first time in my life why people enjoy being retired when they have a lot of money. Because I felt like I was retired because I was getting money and I was taking surf trips and going storm chasing, and it was really epic.
It's hard to come back off of that,
all those years
man.
paying the government, thank you.
Yeah, so that's it. You pay into the system, you hope to get it back.
At all.
Well, so storm chasing.
Yes.
We haven't even talked about your storm chasing life. How did that happen, and give me a couple of highlights of that.
Yeah, so I think I've always been scared of thunderstorms when I was a kid. My brother Jay used to lock me in the room and be like, thunder, lightning, and turn the light on and off, and terrify me. I would just scream as a kid.
Evil
He's
Jay.
So evil. Love you though, bro. Yeah, so that was that. And I remember and you know, being in the water, you just kind of naturally understand weather patterns, wind. We know swells are created by big storms far away, or local wind swells. So you know, I always had a weather radio early on.
The surfers in general are amateur meteorologists.
Yeah, for sure. And I remember we got cable TV at my mom's house, probably like 94, 95. And I saw the Weather Channel and this special on tornadoes, and I was just captivated. And then a couple years later, when the internet started going, 96 maybe, I signed up for this newsletter called Storm Track magazine, and it was like a 4-page newsletter. And on the back of the newsletter was an ad, Tornado Alley Safari. Come and chase.
Wow.
You know, it was like going to an African safari, but it was like Tornado Alley.
Tornadoes in Kansas and Oklahoma.
Yep. And then I remember in 97, I went for my first time, and I saw like the most amazing storms and tornadoes. My first supercell storm I ever saw, there was like 5 or 6 tornadoes.
Wow.
Massive hail, and it was like the most amazing thing.
You were entranced.
And then that was it. And then the funny thing is actually my love for storms grew more than the ocean.
Oh, wow.
Absolutely.
So you would miss a swell any day for
like there was epic lightning at home yesterday, and I was like, okay, I'm at BSR, that's okay. But I honestly would almost rather be home enjoying the storm.
Interesting.
Yeah. But to me, surfing is, storm chasing is a lot like surfing because the atmosphere is fluid and it's water, right?
Yeah.
And so just like the ocean, and you know, when you're chasing the big storms out in the Great Plains, it's just like surfing. Everything lines up, and you got to get in the zone, and it's like hunting waves on an adventure.
And you take your whole family sometimes.
I do, often.
And they like it just as much as you do?
Yeah.
Or they just
yeah. Well, some of them do.
Yeah.
The boys love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I think the first time I came to BSR was it 2018, maybe?
A few years ago, yeah.
Is that right? 18
Sounds
or
right.
17?
Yeah.
I had my 2 boys, Jeremiah and Isaiah, and that was when you could get sessions at BSR anytime.
Yeah.
It was like wide open.
Yeah.
And so we had a two-week storm trip planned, and we brought our boards. I was like, I'm bringing bodyboards to go storm chasing. And on a couple down days, we booked some sessions literally the night before and drove down from wherever we were.
Wow.
And like we came and surfed this thing. I could show you the video too. It was epic. It was like incredible.
Wow.
And then we surfed for a couple days, went back up to like Kansas storms, and then came back down and surfed because we were so pumped.
A lot of
and
driving.
Dude, last year I was out chasing for a month. No, this year. Yeah, in May.
Wow.
And I did 11,000 miles. But it's country
Crazy.
roads. It's beautiful.
Yeah, for sure.
I love it.
So you did the storm chasing, and you mentioned you on that trip in particular, you would surf, storm chase. You're still bodyboarding.
Yep.
And your boys are into bodyboarding,
Yep.
in particular Isaiah and Jeremiah.
Mm-hmm.
And you're still doing a little bit of surf trip because you're here.
Yeah. I mean, we're in Nicaragua. Like, I just got back from Kauai.
Yeah,
we're
it's still a huge part of your life.
Big time.
And
I just burned out because the waves at home really suck.
Yeah.
And
particularly in the summer in your area, it's not so great.
We actually
right?
scored really good Newport the other day. It was firing.
Yeah, so you had to drive to Orange County to get waves,
Yeah,
which is typical
not bad.
South Swell season.
It's just, I don't know. Something changed. Like, living in California for me, I'm more of like a tropical guy.
Yeah.
If you give me that Tabby Tube Tour trip for free, like,
Maybe they'll give it to me for free, and then I can give it to you for free.
So yeah, I just kind of burned out on surfing around my house and went through these phases of just really being over it.
Yeah.
And never really, I could surf. I actually was surfing in Honolulu Bay the other day. I'll stand up on a longboard.
Yeah, okay.
And I was cruising.
How often are you in the water these days?
When the waves are good, often.
Okay.
But
maybe every day if it's good for 3 or 4 days straight.
Yeah, for sure. But actually a lot of it too, it's funny because we were talking about my dad. I do for my boys what my dad did for me.
Yeah.
A lot of times I'll film them or shoot photos, and like I get a lot of joy by filming them and giving them clips and talking about it, and so it's fun, it's good. You're
paying it forward like your dad did for you.
I want to surf more, but I think if I was really into longboarding, I'd probably go out a lot more, but it's like I love barrels like Seal and Epic Newport, and
sure.
I like getting barrel. I'm over spins and
right. So you surf the waves that make you happy.
Yeah, exactly.
Really, and
like BSR.
Yeah, like BSR. So here we are at the Texas Tube Tour 2021. Brian's here. Brian's going to produce a video of our trip, as he did last year. Did a great job using this like a mirror and beautiful.
My hair is just jacked. We have
mine too.
We have a north wind blowing.
North wind.
It's the most epic north wind for the rights. It's just firing.
So you'll see plenty of rights in the video. But so Brian told you the name of his company. We'll put links in the comments section for those of you that are watching this on YouTube, and for those of you listening to the podcast. Again, it's Creative Core with K's.
K-O-R.
K-O-R at the end, no E.
K-O-R-E.
CreativeCore.com, and then ImpressiveCreations.com. If you ever need any videography, this guy is your man. Just check out our Texas Tube Tour video from last year.
And just remember, you are an impressive creation.
Listen,
and my last name is Presso Impressive.
He's full of wisdom, this man. So he's been a friend of mine for, 35 years. And
how did we meet?
Probably at a contest, I'm sure, like in the early 90s, so probably 30 years ago.
Might have been the Maury Boogie stuff.
Yeah, it could be. It's a pleasure to talk to you again, Beeps.
Thanks, brother.
And we'll be looking out for, your successes in your videography, and we'll hopefully have you guys on some more trips. But that's going to do it for this show. Guys, thanks for tuning into the Real Deal Show, and we'll get you next time. And as always, like I say, thank you to Brian, and I will see you in the surf.
In the tube. See, he gets flat, mushy waves on his longboard. I'm in the tube.
He's in the tube. See you guys.